Hello BookTube, Sarah here and welcome to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a weekly reads for the week of May the 4th to May the 10th. I am actually filming this on the 8th on Wednesday, so this will not encompass the entire week. You guys are not going to see this till Saturday, but this will only go Saturday through Wednesday. When I do my weekly reads for next week, for next Saturday, it will include Thursday and Friday of this week because I am away. Like, as you guys see this, I will be away, but I'm leaving tomorrow morning and I'm super excited. So it's a little bit weird for me to be filming this like this early, but I want to make sure to get my Saturday video up. I also debated on like not doing a Saturday video this week and just letting it, just doing like everything in 2 weeks, but that video would have been horribly long. So I didn't want to do that because I finished 5 books in the last 5 days. So yeah, I've got a bit to talk about. But, well, I have a bit to talk about with what I finished reading. I do not really have anything else to talk about outside of that. I do have a little bit of crafting to talk about, something that I may have finished that I am currently wearing. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But, and I just want to tell you guys what I'm currently reading. I haven't bought any books or anything at all like that. So let's jump right in and get started and see how efficient I can be with this video. So the first book that I finished this week was Outlawed by B.J. Daniels. This is a romantic suspense novel. It is Harlequin Intrigue number 353. This was published originally in 1996. It has a 4.48 star rating on Goodreads, and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. This is the story of Delaney and McLeod, or no, Cooper. Cooper McLeod is his name. So this is an older B.J. Daniels, one of her first. I don't think it is her first, but it's one of her first. And this is about, like I said, a man by the name of Cooper and Delaney, who runs a ranch. And at the very beginning of the novel, she finds him kind of like slacking off, sleeping under a tree, and she thinks he's one of the new hired hands. And in reality, he's not. He is there to kind of go undercover and find out how her ranch runs so his employer can buy it off of her. Now, this is available on ebook. I did look. Pretty sure it's available on, yes, it is, with a new cover, like a redone cover. So if you're interested in checking it out, her books have always been fantastic, no matter when they were written. But she's been having a bunch of accidents, for lack of a better word, happen to her. Her horses were kind of like out and they ended up eating this grass or this some sort of a weed that made them loopy, and not could have killed them but made them very loopy, and these just other random incidences are taking place. And originally he's there as kind of her adversary because he, unknown to her, is trying to take this ranch from her, but quickly kind of gets wrapped up in this mystery that is befalling her and agrees to help her. And of course a romance ensues between the two of them. A lot of great characters in this book. All of her books, I believe, take place in Montana, so these are all very cowboy centric stories. It was a lot of fun and I really do recommend it. I recommend B.J. Daniels all day long to everybody because she is so much fun. If you enjoy a good contemporary or a good cowboy romance that has always that bit of mystery, because I'm pretty sure I can't talk on everything, but most of what she writes is a romantic suspense. So yeah, really enjoyable, and I really liked it. The next book that I finished, oh my gosh, guys, I love this one so much. When We Found Home by Susan Mallery. This is a women's fiction novel. It was narrated on audio by Tanya Eby. Published originally in 2018. Average rating of 4.07 stars on Goodreads. I gave it 4.5 stars. I just finished work and I'm tired. I'm happy I'm on vacation. So, this book. This is not a contemporary romance in the sense where you've got one couple falling in love and you're following their story. This is really and truly the story about a family. Now, there is romance in this story, but that is not the main sticking plot point of this story. So, this is about 3 siblings, Malcolm, Callie, and Kira. And Malcolm and Callie are older. I think Malcolm is like 31 or 32, and Callie might be like 28. And then there's Kira, who's only 12. Now, the thing is, they all share the same father, but they all have different mothers. So, Malcolm, when he was a little boy, his mother, of course, they know who the fathers were. Like, their mothers knew who the father was. He brought him, or she brought him to this house. His father has a lot of money. They started a mail order, his family started a mail order company that sells, I want to say it's almost like a Pampered Chef kind of an idea, but for Italian food, where it's like olive oils and spices and packaged pastas and things like that. Like, it's all mail order. And, you know, this company has grown and grown and grown over the years, and they're extremely wealthy. So his mother, when he's a young boy, brings him to this house, and his father wants nothing to do with him. Like, you know, he's been paying kind of his child support, and, you know, like, I don't want anything to do with you outside of that kind of an idea. But the grandfather is thrilled that there is a grandchild. So, you know, he welcomes them into the home, and him and his mother end up moving into the home. Well, the mother and the father never end up having a relationship again, and his mother passes away. That was one of the things that stopped me from giving this a 5-star, because it felt like a Disney cop-out, as I'd call it, where let's kill off the mothers. Like, all 3 of the kids, all their mothers had passed away. And it's prevalent in Disney movies, and that's why I consider it to be a Disney cop-out, that, you know, it just was a little bit too easy that all the mothers are gone. A lot of the things in this book I found a little bit too easy. And again, that's what kept me from giving it 5 stars. Like, they were wealthy, so they could do anything they wanted, and it was fine, and we can do this, and we can do that. And it just felt like once they entered this home, everything was perfect. You know, they still dealt with emotional struggles, but outside of that, their lives pretty much were on a smooth course. And, you know, I don't think that's something that the average person can relate to, which is, again, why it didn't get a 5-star. But anyway, outside of that. So, many, many years later, when Malcolm is much older and he's kind of helping his grandfather run this company, his father dies. And in his father's possessions, they find out that he fathered 2 more children, Callie and Kira. So the grandfather's now been on a hunt to find these 2 girls. And now he's found them. He found the younger girl first, Kira. And then now he's also found Callie. Now, Callie has a difficult backstory. She, at the age of 18, made a bad decision and thought it would be fun to rob a liquor store with her boyfriend. And they got caught, and the boyfriend pretty much ratted her out and blamed it all on her. And she ended up serving, I think, 5 years in prison. Like, she is a convicted felon. And now, in her life, she is having a very difficult time because, you know, she can't get a job because I guess on all those applications it checks, can check here if you're a convicted felon. And, you know, she has a hard time renting an apartment, and she's just trying to make ends meet. And now all of a sudden, Malcolm and this grandfather come into her life, and now suddenly she has no worries. She has a trust fund. She shares part of the company, you know, but she wants to earn an honest living. Like, Malcolm's like, I'll give you a job at the company. And it's like, vice president of something or other. And like, she just got her GED, you know, not that there's anything wrong with that, but she wants to do an honest job. She doesn't want to be given a job. So she agrees to work at the factory, and she's trying to make some changes at the factory. And of course, there's a relationship with her, with one of the other guys who work at this company. And then Malcolm's having his own relationship with this woman named Delaney. And then there's Kira. Kira was probably my favorite character in the entire book. 12, sassy, fun. I adored her. She, unfortunately, I don't know if her mother actually passed, but she's no longer with her mother. I think it might be a case where her mother might be either, I can't really remember if she was in prison or something, but she was in foster care. And she was, you know, kind of an abusive foster care situation, and then went to live with somebody else, and then picked up by the grandfather. So she's just trying to deal with all of that. But I adored Kira. Out of all the characters, she was my favorite. And Bernard's visiting with us. Sorry if the light kind of gets funny. He was just picking at his scratch post, and now he's looking out the window. So yes, I really, really love this story so, so much. I'm super excited. I plan this Christmas to get to the novella that was written about Kira now that she's older. Like, it came out when she was like, this book was written last year, but they flash forward a number of years to Kira being in her 20s. And I'm super, super excited about reading it because, again, she was my favorite in that book. So absolutely recommend this one. If you're a fan of Susan Mallery, definitely give it a read. The next one that I finished was, here it is right here, The Mistress by Susan Wiggs. This is a historical romance novel. It is book number 2 in the Great Chicago Fire trilogy. This was published in 2000, so it's an older book by Susan Mallery. Average rating of 3.78 stars on Goodreads. Guys, I gave it 5 stars. I love this. I love this series. I also gave the first book, The Hostage, 5 stars, and I still have one more to read, which is The Firebrand. So don't know yet what, obviously, rating that one's going to get, but this one was spectacular. I love historical romance, but I love historical romance that is set outside of Regency England. You see so much historical that is all Regency, 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 that when you come across these ones that are set outside of that time period, it's so much fun. And so this one takes place during the Great Chicago Fire. Like, the series is about 3 good friends and where they are at the time of the fire. That's where the book starts. Bless you. Sorry, the hubby's sneezing. And and he's also running his 3D printer. And I asked him specifically that I was going to do this when I got home, but he's still running it, and he's making faces at me now. So, don't blame me. I asked nicely, but he can't turn it off, so I do apologize. I told him going forward on Friday nights, I need it off when I come home so I can do these recordings so you guys don't have to hear this in the background. So I do apologize. Anyway, back to the book. Sorry? He said sorry. Please forgive him. So anyway, the Chicago Fire, so the 3 friends end up getting split up in the aftermath of the fire or during the fire. And then each story follows each of the different girls, you know, with what happens afterward. The Hostage was amazing. You need to read The Hostage, and this one was just as good. You do not need to read these in any kind of order because you don't know from one book to the next what has happened to the other girls. So they don't give away in this book what has happened to the girl in the first book or what's going to happen in the third book. I don't know when you read the third book if you find out, because that one actually flashes forward a number of years after the fire. So, again, I can't speak on that yet, but I will get to that book by the end of the year because this is part of my Stacking the Series. So this is the story of Kate and Dylan, and Kate is actually a lady's maid. She is the maid for the girl in the first book, Deborah. And they decide at the very beginning of the book, or at the beginning of the last book, that they're going to dress her up as Deborah, and not say that she's Deborah, but say that she's Kate, somebody or another from a good family in Baltimore, and dress her up and get her into this party. And pretty much her point is that, you know, the breeding, you know, being part of the aristocracy, it wouldn't be the aristocracy in Chicago, but, you know, of the higher class, has nothing to do with who you actually are. It's all how you're dressed, how you act, and who you say your family is. So you can pretty much pull off a con and let people believe that you are somebody that you are actually not. And so at this ball at the beginning, she meets a man by the name of Dylan Kennedy, who is knew about town, and, you know, all these ladies are kind of after him, and she catches his eye. Well, Dylan's got his own story that I do not want to reveal, because when you start to find out about him, the story just got that much better. And it's like, it was this whole turning the tables kind of an idea. I absolutely loved it. The romance between the two of them was spicy and wonderful. And yeah, I just absolutely love this. Again, if you are a fan of historical romance, like I said, this is an older series. This was published in 2000. So it's not on very many people's radar. But I am such a fan of it, and I absolutely recommend that you go ahead and pick it up. I mean, obviously I got my copy from the library, but I do actually plan on getting my hands on these editions. These are reprint editions. These are not the original covers, but I think these covers are just gorgeous. And then the other 2 covers are on the back. Are they not stunning? I just want all 3 of them like sitting on my shelf like this, because I just think they're absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I absolutely love this book. Highly recommend. The next one that I finished was Dawn's Wicked Stepsister by Ann M. Martin. This is a middle grade fiction novel. It is book number 31 in the Babysitters Club series, published originally in 1990. Average rating of 3.61 stars on Goodreads. I only gave this one 3 stars. I was super excited about reading this one because, as I talked last week about reading Marianne and the Great Romance, that was such a pivotal turning point in the series with Marianne and Dawn becoming stepsisters. And I remember enjoying that one so much and being so excited to read this one. And I remembered that I did not like this one nearly as much as I liked Marianne and the Great Romance. The issue with this book is that both Dawn and Marianne are so outside of their typical character that it almost wasn't them. So the premise of the story, it happens right after the wedding. Marianne and her father move into Dawn and her mother's home, because it's a bigger home, and, you know, the blended family now, they're all going to live together. And Dawn is super excited. She wants her and Marianne to share a room, and it's going to be wonderful. And Dawn's mother is a little disorganized, You know, cleaning is not her top priority. She's laid back. She's, you know, whatever. Richard is very uptight. Everything needs to be cleaned. Like, as soon as you're done dinner, you must do the dishes. You know, every Saturday we're going to clean the house from top to bottom. You know, it's two very different personalities mixing together. Obviously, they care about each other. They love each other, or else they wouldn't have gotten married. But, so, you're kind of dealing with that dynamic. And then, along with that, Marianne and Dawn are, of course, fighting constantly because they are not used to having somebody else in their space. And like I said, they played very much against character, and I didn't like it. They're, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, this is a middle grade fiction novel. Dawn decides that she thinks it would be best if her and Marianne didn't share a room anymore. So instead of doing something that would be very adult and very mature, like, they're not adults, they're 13-year-old girls, but still, she decides to scare the living bejesus out of her, pretending there's a ghost in her room, so she gets Marianne to move out. Now, I would have been okay with that if at the end of the book she confessed to Marianne that this is what she had done, but she didn't. Let her go on believing that what she thought she saw, she saw. And that wasn't Dawn. To me, that's not what Dawn would have done. And then in Marianne's case, like, Marianne is just very snippety and rude to Dawn, like, at certain points. Like, at one point in the book, Marianne's going to a dance with Logan, and everybody else in the Babysitters Club except for Jessie and Dawn don't have dates. And Mallory's not going, or no, Jessie's not going because she's only in the 6th grade, so it's only for the 8th graders. So for the 5 girls in the 8th grade, Dawn's the only one not going because she didn't get asked to go. And as she's helping Marianne get ready, because Marianne's like, oh, you know, come help me get ready. And they're talking, and Marianne very flippantly is like, oh, you'll understand one day when you have a boyfriend too. Or, you know, as she's leaving, I hope you have fun all by yourself tonight. That's not Marianne. And I had a very difficult time with this book. I mean, as a big fan as I am of this series, and how many, I'm now up to book 31 with a couple super specials under my belt too. I mean, I've read through this entire series when I was younger. I know these characters, and I didn't like it at all. I'm sorry. I didn't feel it was well done. So that's the reason it got 3 stars from me. But anyway, it is what it is. We're moving on to the next book. And the last book that I finished, that I just finished today actually, was Dead Until Dark by Charlene Harris. This is book number 1. I didn't write this one down, so I'm doing this from memory. This is a paranormal romance. Yeah, it's a paranormal romance. Book number 1 in the Sookie Stackhouse series, or the Southern Vampire series, or I don't know, it's got a couple different names. This is the series that the TV show True Blood was based off of. Now, this was, I don't know what year this was published in, but it has an almost 4-star rating on Goodreads, so a lot of people really, really like this one. I am going with a 4-star rating on this one. I thought about it all day today because I finished it this morning. I kind of going back and forth on it, and I've decided to go with 4 stars. Now, I was hesitant about reading this. Couple reasons. One, you guys know if you've watched me for a while, I am not a huge fan of paranormal romance. I'm not a fan of vampires. I'm not a fan of sparkly vampires. I'm not a fan of... I liked Anne Rice vampires back in the day. Those were real vampires that will kill you and not give a crap that they have killed you. So that was one thing that was kind of making me a little bit hesitant about reading this. The other was that I did watch the first handful of episodes of True Blood, and I didn't like it. What I didn't like about it was the amount of sex and gore. And I'm like, is this what the book's going to be? Because if this is what the book's going to be, I'm really not going to be interested. I don't like gratuitous violence. I don't care for adult content for the sake of adult content. You know, hey, we've got 5 minutes to kill, let's do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it follows the natural plot of the story, perfectly fine with it. But putting it in just to fill up space, don't agree with that. So I started listening to this one because I did listen to it on audio. I do apologize. I think it's Johanna Parker was the narrator on this one. If I'm incorrect in that, I will put the actual narrator's name right here. I really liked it. It did not have near the adult content in it that the TV show does. Not even close. And there are some scenes that it's almost like a fade to black, where it starts and then it's like bloop and gone. The violence is different when you're reading it than when you're watching it on television. Some of the scenes in this book did kind of make me kind of like feel a little queasy. You know, where they're talking about drinking blood and stuff like that. Like, I'll be honest, like that that's kind of nasty, but it's not in your face. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't happen all the time. What I loved about this book was Sookie. I loved her as a character. She was sassy and spunky and didn't take crap from nobody. She was the perfect kick-ass heroine, to be completely honest. If you are doing the Romanceopoly and you need something for the kick-ass heroine square, I absolutely recommend one of these books. Or I read this one for Romanceopoly. I can't remember what square it was for. It was for something paranormal. I'll put it down here, whatever the name of it was. So feel free to read it for that too if you're also doing Romanceopoly. But anyway, really, really great. So this is the story about Sookie Stackhouse, who is a waitress in this kind of bar in this very small town in Louisiana. And in this world, in this, it's not an alternate reality. It might be an alternate, well, we'll say alternate reality. Vampires are now a thing, and they are a legally recognized minority in the world. And there's a lot of people who don't like that fact, that they are, you know, out of the coffin, if you will. And, you know, they have developed this special blood that they can drink, so they don't have to feed on humans. But they still do. Like, there are still some bad vampires, just like there's, no matter what your race, religion, or whatever, there are bad people. There are bad vampires. Bill, which I love the fact that his name is Bill. Bill the vampire. He has arrived in town, and, you know, him and Sookie kind of strike up a friendship and then a relationship, and there are some people being killed. Vampires are going around town killing people, and they are kind of blaming it on Bill. Like, they're setting him up, essentially, because he is trying to lead a normal existence. Like, there's a part in the book where he's trying to contact contractors to come in and fix, like, his lawn, and they don't take him seriously because he's a vampire. But, and then, like, he wants to join, like, the council and stuff like that. Like, it's, part of it's so mundane, and then you've got this whole vampire aspect to it. So that part of it was really fun. But it was definitely Sookie that made this story for me. I will definitely be continuing on with this series. I think I have found a paranormal series that I actually really enjoy. So if anyone else can recommend anything along these lines, where you're also getting a good bit of humor. I mean, the thing is that, you know, the vampires are not playing to type. Again, they're still not those Anne Rice vampires that I kind of grew up reading. They're also not Twilight vampires. But I kind of liked the humorous aspect to it. So if anyone can recommend anything else to me that's along these same lines, I would absolutely love to hear it. So that is all that I read this week. Let's get on to what I am currently reading. So what am I currently reading? I am currently on my ebook, or on my tablet, on my e-reader. I am currently reading Dearest Clementine by Lex Martin. This is the first book in the Dearest series. This is a new adult contemporary romance. The more of these new adults that I'm reading, I'm kind of starting to see it, because it's got, and please don't take this the wrong way if you are a fan of new adult or young adult, it's got the immaturity of a YA with the adult content of an adult book. So I kind of see it, but I still don't, it's still not, my issue is it's not a genre, it's an age group. That's the difference. YA, or new adult, is not a genre of books, because you could definitely have a new adult suspense novel, or a new adult thriller book, or a new adult contemporary, or dystopian, or science fiction. New adult is a time age group. That's all I'm saying. So in this story, I'm about 30% of the way through it, and I'm really enjoying it. I was adamantly reading it at lunch today, and when the woman I usually sit with, when she came in, I didn't know if she was taking lunch today, and she came in, and I kind of originally thought, oh darn, I have to put the book down now and be social. But it's about a woman by the name of Clementine, and I kind of love her name. And she is in her senior year at Boston University, and she is an English major. Creative writing and English are her two majors, I believe. And back in her freshman year, she ended up actually writing under a pen name a YA novel that took off. It's still an indie published book, but it took off, and tons of sales and whatever, and that's kind of how she put herself through school. Well, her publisher is pushing her for another book, even though she's an indie author. Not her publisher, her publicist, excuse me, is pushing her for another book because of how well the first one did. But for the past 2 years, she has had like major writer's block and she can't write. So at the beginning of the school year, she's up back in her original dorm room, like her freshman dorm room, because that's where she got the original idea for the first book. And lo and behold, this guy by the name of, what's his name again? I didn't write it down. I think it's Dylan. He shows up. And he's like, oh, what are you doing here? This isn't your dorm. And she's like, no, I know. Like, she lives off campus now. And he's like, you know, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm trying to get inspiration. So it turns out that the two of them have mutual friends. And they kind of strike up a friendship. And right now we're still in the friendship aspect. But there's been some very spicy things happening between the two of them. Mostly kisses, nothing too adult content-ish. So she's got her own stuff that she's kind of dealing with. Her parents, she comes from a very, very well-to-do family, but her parents have nothing to do with her. You know, she refuses to ask them for money even though she needs to write this next book because she needs to make tuition. And her parents are multi-millionaires, but yet she refuses to go and ask them for money to help her with school. Her brother, who's her twin, is like the favorite. And, you know, they will help him all day long, but not Clementine. And, yeah, there's just kind of a lot going on in this one with a mystery aspect with this girl who went missing on campus. You know, I'm really enjoying it, I have to say. You know, I'm not going to shy away from new adult books just because I have an issue with the way they're being labeled. But there are some really good ones out there. And I will report back, of course, next Saturday when I finish this one and let you guys know my final thoughts. But right now, thoroughly enjoying it, and I'm really happy I decided to pick it up. The other book that I'm currently reading is underneath here, and that is The Black Sheep by Carolyn Andrews. This is a Harlequin temptation novel, or a Mills and Boon temptation novel. This is my UK edition that I got in the mail. I thought I was ordering the Harlequin. I got the Mills and Boon. So be it. This is another story that takes place in Boston, and I'm not very far into it. I've just started it. And it's about a woman who's a private investigator, and she has been given care of this young girl by the name of Sarah, and she is being sent to deliver deliver her to her uncle, who is now taking custody of her because both of Sarah's parents have passed away. So she agrees to stay with the little girl for about 2 weeks just to make sure that the uncle's on the up and up. Well, I guess I'm not far enough into the story yet, but someone has already tried to kidnap the little girl, and I'm only 12 pages in. So the action starts right off the bat. So far I'm enjoying this one. More thoughts next week when I get it done. The two books that I am going to be reading while I'm away, one is going to be Christine, the Secret of Susan, which is Babysitter's Club book number 32. This is actually, for its time, was a little ahead of its time in a way in what they were writing about. Susan, the young girl that the babysitter or Christy in particular starts babysitting for, actually has autism. And back then, when this book was written in 1990, you know, they didn't have the spectrum and they didn't have stuff like that. So this one's going to be quite interesting to see how well it aged. I have read this before, so nothing's being spoiled for me, but I did go ahead on Goodreads last night, and I was kind of looking through some of the ratings. People were not nice about this book. Complaining quite a bit on how poorly it was written and the way that Christy was thinking. And I'm going to go into it with an open mind, reading it now as an adult, with what we do know about autism and being on the spectrum and things like that, and to see, you know, not every book is going to age perfectly, and if this book was probably written now, it would probably written a lot differently. But I am very interested in reading it to see what I'm going to think about it. And my audiobook for my travels, and I'm very excited, is going to be The Help by Catherine Socket. Socket, I think is her last name. This is a reread for me. I read this before the movie came out, because I saw the trailers for the movie and I was like, oh my gosh, this movie looks so good and I really want to go see it. And then I found out that it was based on a book. And I'm like, well, I have to read the book. That's me. There's a movie based off of a book, gotta read the book first. So I went out and I read the book first, and then we went and saw the movie. It is one of the few book to movie adaptations that I think was done extremely well. Most of them that you see differ quite a bit, or there's things that are left out or whatever, but it stayed so true to the book in my opinion. And I'm really excited about rereading it now. This one came up because I remarked it as to be read on my Goodreads shelf, because it's been about 8 years. I think the movie came out in 2011? No. Really? Was it 2011? I think so. So anyway, I want to see, I wanted to reread it because it's been a while. And when I was doing the Pick It For Me challenge that happens every month on the Romance Readers of Reading group, Goodreads group, My partner picked this one as one of the books on my TBR. So I went immediately, yes, it's an 18-hour long audiobook. I was able to get a copy of it from my library on audio. It's done with a full cast. I think there's 4 different narrators, so this should be really fun. And I'm so looking forward to diving back into it. I love this one. I'm sure everybody kind of knows the story. I don't remember it that well, but it's about a white girl living in the South during the time of segregation. And they have, you know, a black housemaid, and you know, it's a class, not a class struggle. It is a, I'm trying to be politically correct. It's the struggle of segregation, essentially, between, you know, the whites and the blacks. So it was, I loved it the first time I read it, and I'm super excited about reading it again. So anyway, guys, that is it for the books. Like I said, I didn't buy anything. I haven't bought any new books this week. I'm gonna, by the time you guys see this, I will have already met Steve. So I will have probably bought books. That's part of what I'm, you know, going down there for. I'm going down for the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool, along with book shopping. So I will have a bigger haul next week, I am sure. I will probably actually do the haul in my vlog, so as not to make next week's video super long. But, so do check out the vlog this coming Tuesday. You guys will see that. And crafting. I finished a sweater, you guys. I'm wearing it. Okay, let me see. See? Look! Sweater! Sleeves, sorry. Sorry for bouncing the camera. It's hard for me to get a good... What I'll do is in the vlog, because I decided to wear it to work today because I wanted to see how it wore throughout the day. And it's worn amazing. Like, because it's done in acrylic, there is no stretching to this. Like, I have knit sweaters that are in 100% merino, which are beautiful and soft and lovely. But after, like, the end of the day, you can see that they've started to pull, because wool will grow as you, like, stretch it, right? Whereas acrylic does not. It locks in. It's not real fabric. Well, it's real fabric, but it's not a natural fabric. That's the word I'm looking for. The sleeves are really, really nice and long. Look how long they are. And the beautiful patterning on the sleeve. I absolutely love it. I got so many compliments on this day. I love the neckline. I do not like anything that's like tighter around the neck. So this neckline is like perfect. I absolutely love it. And yeah, this is why I've always said every sweater I knit, I will absolutely knit in acrylic yarn, because they are wash and wear. I can throw this in the washer. I will probably hang it to dry, just for the sole fact that I don't want it to get all messed up in the dryer. Like, I don't want stuff pulling, essentially. I might even, like, wash it by hand just for that reason, that I don't want anything pulling on it in the washing machine, too. You know what I mean? But not for the fact that it's going to stretch or grow. And I absolutely love it. I love the color. I got compliments on it today, so I am going to wear it to the festival on Saturday. So I will get pictures of it then. Like full pictures that you guys can see. That's where I plan on doing my finished photos. My friend Mandy's going to take them for me. So I will insert those into the vlog as well on Tuesday. So that's it, you guys. A relatively shorter video from me for a weekly reads. I did have a little bit to talk about some of the books, but I really enjoyed most of them. And yeah, that is it for me, you guys. So like I said, videos coming up this week. The vlog will be coming on Tuesday, as I've been mentioning throughout this video. And then on Thursday is going to be the full-on announcement video for the Summer Romance Book Bingo, you guys. I am so thrilled with the feedback. You guys are all amazing. If you have not seen that video yet, please do go. I will leave it linked in the description box below. Please go and check it out and offer us up some suggestions. You guys have hit it out of the ballpark with suggestions, and I thank you guys so, so much. The one thing, actually, I'll wait and I'll mention it in that video, in the video that's coming on Thursday. But it's going to be the full-on announcement video, all the information you guys are going to need. June is going to be here before we know it, you guys. It's crazy how fast this year is going. And I'm super, super stoked that you guys want to read along with me this summer. And thank you. I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyway, that is it. That's all I have for today. I will talk to you guys all in my next video. Take care and happy reading, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.